Will, do you know why I'm the greatest org player alive? Because I totally bluffed the shit out of you. Good morning, Will. How are you doing this fine morning?
There's always something new with you, Jack. You're always doing something weird in these. You gotta just settle. You gotta chill.
No, I like to keep it surprising. Just like this episode surprised us.
Did it surprise? No. So actually, Jack, before we start, I have a question. What'd you eat tonight? Or when you were watching Survivor, did you have by chance a sandwich or did you eat an amulet? What'd you do?
Oh, I had a great sandwich. I had a Taco Bell sandwich.
You had a Taco Bell? Dude, they're so good.
Taco Bell sandwich, yeah. Some people call it a taco, but I just think that's preposterous.
Yeah.
Speaking of sandwiches, welcome everyone to episode 5 of Survivor StockWatch. I am Jack. That is Will.
I'm Jack too.
Will is Jack number 2. I am Jack number 1. How are you?
Hi, I'm Jack. All right. No, I'm doing good, Jack. It's always fun doing these podcasts on a Friday night. Totally have nothing else to do with my Friday nights, no friends to hang out with. I just have Jack.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You do StockWatch.
I do StockWatch. You do.
That's your job.
No, I don't get paid.
Don't tell anyone that.
Okay.
But yes, we are here to cover episode 5 of Survivor 45. This is the last mergatory, I should say, but merge episode of the season. And so now it's time to do a post-mortem on the pre-merge. How was it? Was it good? Where does it rank in the new era? I want to get your thoughts, Will. Is it good? Is it bad?
I think this is the second worst pre-merge. I think 41 had a worse pre-merge in terms of editing. I don't think it's bad. It's just 2 quits really put a damper on the season, no matter how you slice it. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love disaster tribes like Lulu, I feel like I kind of wish we had more balance going into 90-minute episodes. I kind of wish it was more even Steven and not like another tribe train wreck dumpster fire. I do think 42, 43, and 44 had better pre-merges. I know 44 might be a little contentious because it had a medevac at, a quit medevac, whatever, however you want to classify Matthews. But I still think, if you look between the lines, there are still a lot of great Survivor to be played. I think there's a lot of great characters that have been emerging. And I think, honestly, that it's going to be one of those seasons where it might have a pretty rough pre-merge, but once you get past that hurdle, then we're going to the merge with a lot of great characters, a lot of clashing personalities, a lot of great rivalries that are brewing. And so I'm really excited to see how all this plays out in the future.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think this pre-merge is defined by its highs and its lows.
Yeah.
Because I often see pre-merges that are either just kind of middle of the water, middle of the road, not too good, not too bad. I feel like there are some really high highs in this pre-merge. The episode 3 Tribal Council, just the 90 minutes in general, all of the content we've been getting. Positives, obviously 2 biggest negatives are the 2 quits. That just hurts it deeply. But beyond that, and honestly, just beyond the quits, as the real only negative for me, it's been good. It's been good. In terms of ranking it in the new era, I think just because of the quits, it makes it not top 2, which goes number 1 to, I'd probably say 44.
Yeah.
And number 2, I'd probably say 42. I'd say 41 is number 3 for me.
Yeah.
I'd say number 4 is 45. And I'd say number number 5 is 43. Because you
That's
got to, I don't know, 43's pre-merge is very boring.
it's you love it or hate it. I think my only problem with 41 is that the pre-merge it just felt awkward. I will defend the cast of the new era. I think the casts have been amazing. I love the 41 cast. I think there's a lot of great returning picks, a lot of great, under the radar players, a lot of great underrated characters. It's just the show was trying to find its footing and it felt very awkward at the very beginning. So I ranked that the lowest. I think it can edge out 43. I need to do another reread, but I still think like the Lindsay blow up. I think the first Baka tribal was weird. We get the origins of Cody Jesse, which is always fun, you know. But I'd agree that 42 and 44, I think, just edge it out. I think they're just gold standard
Yeah.
of modern era, new era pre-merge so far.
Yeah. And I think it sucks because I truly think this season could have been that. I think this season, barring those quits, could have absolutely been top tier.
Yep.
This could have been number 1 in my books. And it's so unfortunate that those 2 quits happened. But we can't live in the past.
Nope.
We must live in the future. But we'll live in the past for a little bit longer because now someone is in the past. I was right last episode. Yeah. I was right.
We were right.
I was right. We okay, fine.
Yeah, I said the same.
We were right. Brando, sell the stocks, get rid of it now. We were correct.
The stocks
went home this episode. Overplayed. You think? You think he overplayed?
No.
It's tough. It's tough to say.
I think Brando was just losing this configuration. I think honestly, Austin and Drew just beat them to the punch and grabbed Emily as early as they could. The fact that they showed us Austin and Drew talking to Emily before, and now this episode we finally see Brando and Kendra talking to Emily, kind of made it a little obvious. I don't think he overplayed. I think the edit might want us to make it seem like Brando overplayed. I just think no matter what, he was a dead man walking, because I think he just physically is the weakest out there, and I think throwing out Kendra's name to Drew, it didn't do much for him or against him, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Brandon was kind of screwed regardless of the position because I think you're right.
Yeah.
God forbid. I think you're right.
Right.
Austin and Drew picking up Emily in episode 4 was so important. This episode, the payoffs happen. It could be one episode to the next. It could be one episode to the next 3. It could be anything. It's a payoff. It's a setup for something. And it was a setup for this. And so now Emily is firmly with Austin and Drew. However, the edit not only just that. The edit made us believe, in my opinion, that Drew was actually the one that should have been going home.
Yeah.
And some of the actions didn't really, were a little interesting. I don't think to Brando's fault, at least at the beginning, trying to make an alliance with Drew. I think that's a fine move.
I think that was a great move. And I'll talk more about Drew and a lot of the problems I had with him this episode. But I felt bad for Brando because it's like he wanted to have the alliance with Drew. He made the plans that make sense on paper and from our perspective. Like he made the moves he should have made. It's just with the dynamics and with how everything shook up. I wouldn't say he was like swap screwed, but at the same time, he was kind of put in a really bad position, and Brando can only do so much. He's no Suri Fields.
Definitely not. I think the cards. I'm going to use Jay's comment here. I think you're right. I think that Lee's connection with Kendra. He stated that. He was clear about that. Yep. Drew and Austin liking Kendra over Brando, actually liking Kendra's energy, and obviously needing Emily as a swing vote. And so off rip, pretty much, it's a dead man walking. So I don't think it was a dire swap screw. I don't think it was a huge swap screw. It's a light swap screw, in my opinion. It's swap screw light. Like I think he had a chance, but he had to play really, really solid to get out of this. And I don't think that was happening. So
I just don't see. I think a really good player, a really socially savvy player, could get out of that. I think, but no offense to Brando, he seems like a really good guy, and I was rooting for him the entire episode, but I just think he couldn't do it. And that's okay.
That's okay. Sometimes that happens. It's I think the earliest example that I can think of off the top of my head is Aaron from season 15, China. He got swap screwed in the worst way, just the perfect storm of everything. And he still could have done things. I feel like he wasn't completely just robbed from that, but it was still bad and just a bad overall position that he was put in. And that's the same for Brando. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you got to play really, really good to get out of that. And that's just how it is.
Yep.
All right. We're going to be going alphabetically, not by tribe. We are going to go alphabetically through the cast. We're going to start with Austin. I still have him at 5. I don't think I will ever – I don't think I'm ever going to put him anywhere else. Like Mr. Consistent. Yep. I truly don't think there's any way he wins this season. Not as a bad thing, not as he's had a bad edit. He's had a great edit. But I just think he's a strong narrator and a good player. And I think he's going to get 5th place or like 6th place. And there's nothing left to say. Although I do think this was his best episode so far.
Yeah.
He obviously won the tribal debate. He extended his idol, played the goodwill advantage, got the advantage amulet. It didn't even want it. So good for him. He really played this episode the best, especially with his first tribal council. That's really, really good gameplay from him. And
too early to say.
Too early. I think the draw of Malcolm, especially in his heyday in Philippines, it was the perfect storm. It was his likability, which Austin has, and I think Austin definitely has that. But I think it was the fact that Malcolm was put on Matt Singh and went through that underdog story that it was everybody rooting for Malcolm. Because if you're likable, people may root for you, but it's not going to be the same if you're likable and you're an underdog. Austin's not really much of an underdog. Let's be honest.
No, he's an underdog.
He's doing pretty good. But what do you think?
So I agree with the Malcolm thing because I think Malcolm, both in Philippines and to a lesser extent Karamoan, he was an underdog and just easy to root for. I think Austin has the makings to be another Malcolm, someone who is just a jack of all trades, good at every single part of Survivor, but not perfect at anything. I think he's really likable, really sociable. He has a strategic mind with wanting to pick sandwiches over the amulet, which I think was the correct decision. And, just look at Austin. He's good at challenges no matter what. I will say, word on the street, and this is maybe a little crackpotty, but there is an argument, and I don't know the volition of it. I don't know how true it is, but there's an argument that Austin really saved Drew this episode. And without Austin, Drew would
I actually kind of agree with that. I'm actually going to say, I think that probably would have happened because the edit made it believe to me that Drew was going to be the one going home. I was like 99% sure it was Brando still, but the edit really tried to sell that it was going to be Drew. I think Austin showing the amulet to Emily was key. Emily's a very transactional player. She sees something good. She sees a bridge. She's going to hop on that bridge. I agree with that opinion. I don't really agree with a lot of online opinions, or I agree with them to an extent, but that makes sense. And I actually agree with that one. Now, would you take the sandwich as well?
Absolutely. I mean,
why?
So first things first, I'm just a really big guy in terms of just weight and height. So I just need extra sustenance and need more food. But I also agree with Austin's reasonings. One, it's just good morale, good boost for going into a tribal council. That's obvious, right? But also, Austin doesn't know who Kelly is, and he doesn't know, or he knows Jeremiah, but like he's not close with Jeremiah at all. And if I was in Austin's position and I didn't know anyone on that trek, I'd be like, I don't know y'all, and I don't want to have a target on my back. Plus, it makes it really easy to just tell the truth to your tribe and be like, hey, so we had two options. We had either an advantage or food. We picked food for the sustenance. Y'all can search my bag, probably not search my bag, but you can like pat me down and search whatever. I don't have anything on me. And I just think it made sense to go for sandwiches. I don't think it is a terrible move to go for the amulets that a lot of people online like to say for whatever reason. But there is one confessional I want to talk about. And that is when Emily was making her big move and big decision to vote out either Brando or Drew, she says that she's tightest with Austin of all people. And this was kind of buried. It was kind of just said quickly. It wasn't like a big moment. But I heard that, and that made the alarms bell go off. That pretty much told me that Brando was going out, and that no matter what, if Austin and Drew, split up, I definitely now think, and I thought this before, I definitely think Drew would go before Austin.
Yeah.
And that was just another reason why. What do you think?
I just think Austin, I think it's about how you represent yourself. I think Austin is playing a lot better than we see a lot of like big alpha guys play. Like a lot of alpha males, alpha females, or alpha players in general they're presented with that summit scenario. They're going to try and convince people to go for the amulet. Because that, big power, big move. I think Austin's playing it well, and the perception of him is like an honest, good-natured person. And that's exactly where you want to be if you are someone that is hoarding, literally at a time in this episode, 4 advantages between 2 people, which is really, really good. Yeah. And I just think it's going to work out for him. I think it's going to pay dividends. And I think when it comes down to Drew or Austin, even though Drew may not be a threat physically, Drew would go.
Yeah. I think Drew at this point, he's too much of a strategic player that he's just a good resume guy. He is your High. He's your Noel. He's your Shan if Shan got voted out earlier in 41. Like he's just that guy. But Austin, I just think has more longevity, and no matter what, Austin, he's going to go far, and I really like him on social media. Still wanting a response from Coach, just like you, Jack.
Me too. Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Jay, we'll get to your comment about the amulet situation in a little bit.
Yes.
So, Bruce, I don't think you had a confessional this episode. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll check while you talk.
Okay. But it wasn't much of anything different with Bruce. Again, he wasn't going to win the moment he didn't get that great edit, episode 1. He wasn't going to win immediately from there. And this episode, to me, it solidified 100% that this is going to be Bruce and Katura, their stories are intertwined somehow, and it's going to end at some point. And I don't know how it's going to end, whether it's Bruce or Katura getting the win, but I don't think Bruce is going to win, period. And I think this episode, you'll see my edgic for it later, this episode of StockWatch. It's bad. It's just something, it's a bad rating. You don't want it ever. If you have a little more visibility, maybe, but you don't want that rating ever.
No.
It's bad. And so at this point, I've ruled Bruce out a while ago. I still ruled Bruce out, but I do think he's going to make it around 10th, maybe 9th place. What do you think?
Yeah, so I said this before. Also, first of all, Bruce got 1 confessional.
Okay.
So shout out to my friends on Simvivor for keeping me updated with the confessional counts. I think there is a few different paths for Bruce. I think if he loses the battle with Katura, Then Bruce goes early merge. Katora makes it pretty far, makes a deep run, but I don't think Katora wins, and that's a spoiler for her. I think if Bruce wins the war with Katora, which is possible, right? Entirely possible. I can see, again, I said this before, I can see Bruce as a losing finalist. I think he's kind of giving me a diet coach in a way, in the sense of like he wants to be this personality, people aren't buying it, and he's like, he's seen contradicting himself and like making a fool of himself. And so I can absolutely see him in the final 3 and a no vote finalist, as much as I hate to say it. Plus, coaches and players in Bruce's position, they've always made it to the end except for one season of Survivor. And this is across both Survivor and Big Brother, which is a really crazy statistic. And so I could see the few different paths, but no matter what, we both agree that Bruce is not winning the game.
Yeah. No.
So
yeah, it sucks, but I do think that his style of play isn't going to work out for him, and I think, my opinion, I do think he will lose the battle with Katura. Something just screams to me that the old Bello minus Katura is going to get wiped in the merge by the Reba conglomerate, and so I do think Bruce will be a part of that. I think Bruce will ultimately lose the battle against Katura, but time will tell how that fares. Then we get to D. D had a great episode, you would think, right? You would think. Unfortunately, I'm lenient on putting her at number 1, because there's someone obviously who's been playing the game a lot better, but while the personal content for D this episode was super great, and yes, we finally got the backstory type, the emotional images and all of that, it was coming. It was nice not having it for 4 episodes. It was coming.
I mean,
it's new era. What are you gonna
do? I like them when we know the players more. It's one thing if they're trying to build an emotional bond episode 1 off the boat, because like I don't care about these people. I don't know who these people are. I don't care. But now that's like episode 5, and we're rooting for D or rooting for whoever, rooting for Jake. We'll get to Jake. I like it. I like having a story with all these players. I just didn't like how it felt forced. But now that it's on episode 5, it feels a little more natural. Especially with Jake. Jake was really notable for me, but I like D.
Yeah. Her content beyond that was considering taking out Jay, and I think this is a concern of make the move to make the move. Yeah. If you get to move hungry and you just want to do stuff, it's going to come back to bite you. But the thing I want to talk about with D is something Matthew, Heidi, and I talked about on Wednesday. Go watch that recap. Heidi talked about the fact that watch the players that get shown so prominently, or just gets shown in some form of way, in a good way, usually. Why do they get shown? Why do they get shown where their story may not really matter? We could have gotten more from Julie. Could have gotten more from Jay. There was a secret scene of Sifu that was really touching. That was released on Instagram. Why did we get this from D? That's my question. Like, why do we get this instead of other stuff? And it raises the concern.
Yep.
D's got a good shot.
So that's kind of we kind of touched on this too last week when we were expressing concerns with Katora, with how her rivalry with Bruce is all we're seeing, when there should be more, right? Because we see D is a good player. We've seen her take the chill pill, not freak out on Sifu episode 1, and we've seen herself navigate really well throughout. Drew and Austin being shady, Sifu just being Sifu, and so that is a very valid concern. I still think one extremely positive thing about D is that she was able to vote Sifu, and for no reason had J Maya just say, "Hey, I'll tell Sifu I voted for him," and make that lie, which is hilarious.
The plan never works, by the way. The plan that works out of 1 gajillion times. Don't ever do that if you go on the show.
No.
Continue.
And so it's like, but that still worked out good for D. It's not intentional, obviously, because D is not going to J Maya like, hey, J Maya, you should go to Sifu. You vote for Sifu. Like, you should say that. That would be funny. But it's like D didn't say that, but the fact that it worked out so well for D, I just want to give props like straight off the bat. I'm a D fan. I think her role in the season is going to be. I'm a little lenient or a little hesitant on calling her a winner or a contender. I think she has a good shot to win, but there has to be a specific route this narrative goes to. And if it doesn't go D's way, then I think D is going to be a big player that gets taken out around 6, 7.
Yeah. I am of that similar mindset in terms of they definitely could be that big player. However, I do think that the winner will be one right now, just out of everything I've seen, everything you've seen. I think the winner is going to be D or another person we will see later. You probably all already know who we're going to say.
Yeah.
But I do think it's one of those two. And I think D made a strong case tonight as to why it should be her as the main contender. But
yeah,
I'm not ruling. There's still people I'm not ruling out. Still, we'll get there. I'm not ruling everybody out, but I'm highlighting my top 2 at this point, saying these 2 are my top 2, and there's some distance between them and the rest of the contenders.
Yep, I agree. Hi, Drew.
Speaking of contenders,
remember episode 1, guys?
Remember episode 1 when Drew was like number 2 on rankings?
I know.
He did. Ooh, so good. The mighty have fallen. If you were someone who didn't really get the vibes from last episode, or you didn't like really catch the dynamics, whatever the case may be, you probably thought Drew was going. Totally fair. Because he looked, I'd say, really bad tonight. Really mismanaged it. I think the number one thing he mismanaged, and I think this is one of the worst things you can do on Survivor. If someone approaches you for an alliance, don't say no. Don't say no.
Yeah.
Why are you saying no to an alliance?
There's one take that I can kind of see, and
Please
that
tell
is
me that.
But I don't agree with it, but for the sake of the show, I want to bring it up, right? Emily was sitting right next to Drew and Brando. And Brando pretty much said, hey, us 3 should be an alliance. And so in Drew's head, maybe if he denies it in front of Emily, it can still show Emily like, hey, it's me, you, and Austin. 100. I can kind of see that.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, this just put a lot of pressure on Drew. And not just that, but I think that was bad. But it wouldn't have mattered had he not played the rest of the episode as poorly as he did. I think denying Brando's shot in the dark I think that was the dumbest move, because that would have been great proof for Emily and like, hey, Brando gave me a shot in the dark wanting to take out Kendra. Like, this is real. I think Emily would have believed that, because it makes sense for Emily to believe that Drew was spouting out and making lies about Brando, about Kendra. Like, that makes sense. And so it's like Drew had no leverage whatsoever. And if not for Austin, like, Drew could have went out this episode. I believe that.
He definitely could have. I think he was really, really on the hot seat in this episode. But I think everybody at this point has pinned it correctly. I think most fans have it on the nose. I think we're getting ready for a downfall. This early would have been interesting to see for sure. I want to see it, like, everybody moving forward without Drew in the game would be interesting. But I've always kind of held the belief that he's going to make it to the mid-merge, at least for the past couple episodes. And so that's my opinion still right now. We are waiting for the downfall. It will happen, and it will be glorious.
And don't send hate to Drew online. You guys know who you are. Don't send hate to players. Just because Drew is playing up for the cameras and being cocky doesn't mean we have to complain about him. He's someone fun to hate. Remember that.
Yes. Fun to hate.
Don't talk bad of players and send hate.
Come on now.
Y'all know who you. I don't think any of our fans do it, but if you do it, you're dead to me.
You know better. Let's get to Emily. She classic swing vote, classic 3-2, deciding vote this episode. I am of the exact same opinion that I was last episode.
Same.
I think we are getting set up to see her as the dragon, falling at 4th place. I could see her also going like 6th, 5th, 7th, somewhere around there. I think she goes far. I think she does well. Did you notice anything new this episode? Because honestly, I really didn't, except for maybe a little bit of a lapse in strategy with Drew. But Drew was screwing himself. So.
I don't blame her for thinking Drew was being shady. I will say, I think we're still seeing transactional Emily, someone who isn't afraid to call out BS as she hears it. I think she's being a lot more socially aware. And I want to be wrong. I want Emily to win Survivor 45. I'm a huge Emily fan. Her and another player that we'll get to later, I want to see as the winner. But my only issue is that it's not even the episode 1 premiere. It's just the narrative is too good. Like right. Emily's too good and so too notable. Good. It's too good. She has a good story. And I know it's a story that not many people will really be around for because, 4 of the 6 Lulu members are gone. Half of them quit. But I feel like Emily's going to be known as a huge player, a huge power player that gets voted out at 4th or 5th. I think she's making the finale.
Okay, yeah.
I can see that.
Okay. Yeah. I think so too. I think she's making the finale probably. If she gets out a little bit before the finale,
I could see that.
A little surprised, but I'll understand. If it's like 8th place or above, I'm low-key going to be pretty shocked at that.
It'd be like an episode 1 like downfall. Like
it'd be nowhere. Surprising. Very surprising. But yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see how she interacts in this mergatory deal. I'm interested to see how she interacts with Caleb again. With Bruce, we haven't seen that. We'll see how that goes, and we'll just see how all of that goes for Emily.
Yep. Hi,
and
Jay.
We'll also see how it goes for Jay, because we'll get to this. But my opinion, Jay and another player we'll get to. You probably know who.
I wonder.
I wonder. Those 2 players, in my opinion, are dead in the water.
Yeah.
Dead. They've been kind of dead, but now they're dead in the water. Jay is one of them.
Yeah.
I think just really bad move wanting to say that you were the decoy or wanting to be the decoy and saying that you voted for Sifu. It's bad, really bad. In my opinion, I think her and this other player are completely dead in the water. They will be the first 2 boots in this mergatory kind of thing. And I think it will be a genuine 100% consensus. That's my call.
I see.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I see Jay as the mergatory boot.
Absolutely.
I love Jay Maya because she seems like a really nice person and like one of those players that just as long as she got swooped up in the majority alliance, it'd be a quiet player, but like every once in a while she would just pop on and like, give some cool confessionals, maybe get like a backstory at like episode, 8 and then get voted out, around the mid-merge. But Jay Maya was never in the majority alliance, and we just don't see any game outside of her wanting to be a decoy for Sifu, someone who is thought to have an idol, which I don't get that play at all.
I think a lot of people are like, oh my god, what are D and especially D and Julie? What are they doing? How actually we'll talk about with Julie, I think,
We
but
will.
yeah, well she's next. Or no, she's not next. We have Jake after this, but then we'll
Oh
get to
yeah.
Julie. But yeah, I think J J E. I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna
Yeah.
disagree. I will dissent. I don't think so. I think to me it's pretty locked in stone. She's been built up the past two episodes as a target and as someone who could be pretty easily just knocked out. In my opinion, I think she
Yep.
goes right here, right now. So sell that stock.
I don't know why you're still having
Yeah,
Jemiah stock.
well, I don't know why you have it, but if you do,
I've seen Jemiah stock is a lot worse than the 1930s, and I'll let you make of that as you will.
you make of that as you will.
No, I do feel bad because I don't like to rag on I don't like to rag on people who are really nice. Jemiah seems really nice. I don't like to be like, yeah, Jemiah is playing really badly right now. Sell your stocks, but you know, yeah.
Jake had a great episode. Just I personally love I personally loved this episode from Jake.
Yeah,
Just
same.
seeing him tackle body image like that is a big issue for me as a person. And so it's nice to see someone talk about that on the show. So
Yeah.
props for that. I can't move Jake from sixth though. Not because I see him getting sixth place, but purely because of circumstance. There's no way I'd move him down after this episode. I think it was a great episode for him. There's no way I'd move him down. I don't think I'm ever going to move Austin from 5, so we can ignore that. And I don't think I'm going to move Emily from 4 for a while. So that's staying for me. And then Julie D and Julie's up there, obviously. Julie D and another player.
Yeah.
Julie D and another player. If I were to move one of them, they would take Jake's spot and Jake would replace them. But I don't see this episode as like that strong for Jake. Not like 100% perfect. Wow, he's like one of the top contenders. But I do think he does well. I do think he goes far, and I'm going to maintain the position. I think if it's an old Bello minus Katura kind of deal, I think Jake will make it the farthest out of those players.
Now, I got to be real with you, Jack. When I first saw this episode, and I was, I'm trying to read into the edit, I honestly thought Jake would get medevaced on this episode.
Really?
Because whenever a player gets a lot of personal content and gets a lot of screen time randomly in an episode, I get worried. I thought, and I kind of think that Jake might get a medevac. My only issue is I love Jake so much. After the episode, he became one of my favorite players of the season. I don't think he's going to be that successful in the game, but he won my heart over. And I'm changing my Twitter profile picture to Jake and liking his tweets on the whole 9 yards. But I still I feel like he's going to get voted out in a medevac, or not voted out, but he's going to get medevac or something has to do with his health, I think. What do you think, J.E. and Jack? But mainly Jake.
Fair enough. Maybe, however, I think that this episode may have been a sign of he's going to have strength to come, and he might have a kind of come from behind, good at it. Do I think he wins? It's tough. Not ruling him out. Again, not ruling him out. But I will say I do think he's still got a lot to go, especially with some of the other players.
Yeah.
But he's one of my draft picks, so go me.
Yeah. Julie! Hi, Julie. I like you more than... Wait, we have Julie, we have Jack, we have Jay. We just talked about Jake. So many days tonight. And Jemiah, oh my God.
Julie's number 3. She's doing great. I think she's going to do well. Okay, moving on. I think a lot of people are upset or just kind of confused this episode that Dee and Julie basically acted like they didn't know that Austin had the idol. And I'm sitting here like, yes, but it's Survivor.
And they're on a new tribe or
Yeah.
new cycle.
I understand. You never know. Like, you never know.
You never know.
I don't think it's Sifu's master manipulation convincing you he has an idol. His fake idol stuff was cute, but I don't think it's real. I wouldn't buy it.
No.
I think that it's just precautionary, maybe a little too much, but I do think it's just precautionary. But I think people are way overreacting. I just think they're playing it safe. I think it's totally fair in the new era. Do what you got to do. And that was pretty much it from Julie for me.
I don't buy a lot of stock of online Survivor fans in a world where I saw a whole thread on Reddit of Caleb being the best Survivor player on paper, and it's still episode 5.
Yep, I saw that as well.
So, but I do think it makes sense for Julie and Dee to worry about the idol because, one, they are in the best position on Reba right now, and I think it's kind of obvious. You know, Sifu had a vote, and Jeremiah, she's just kind of dragged along. I don't know how they, talk to Jeremiah and like what Jeremiah thinks of Julie and Dee, which is like a huge red flag for Jeremiah and why I think we both kind of wrote her off at this point. But, there was just a swap and I cannot blame them for playing it safe. And I think one part they got really lucky with Jeremiah wanting to be a decoy, because that just pretty much causes a split if they were to go to another tribal between Dee and Sifu, or between Jay and Sifu. And Dee and Julie didn't have to do anything about it. They just all Dee did was write down Sifu, and then Jeremiah was like, "I'm gonna take the blame for this, guys."
Julie's just sitting there.
Julie's just hanging.
Julie's smart. I think she's the voice of reason out of pretty much everybody. I'm not gonna lie, and I think she's going to do well. Just don't know if she wins.
Yeah, I can see her as a losing finalist in a certain path. I think she gets second. I think she gets a vote or 2 or 3 or 4. Sure. I don't think she's winning, but it's okay.
Fair enough. We move on to the K's. We start with Caleb. Pretty good episode for Caleb. I think Caleb might have a savior complex. Saving Emily from the ashes in episode 2, and then trying to save Katura from the ashes episode 5. I think it's got a little bit of a savior complex.
Maybe.
But, someone on Reddit decides, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to out my opinion. And they go, Caleb is the best Survivor player on paper.
Jay, what do you think about that?
Here like what? For real?
It's not. It's Kim. We all know it's Kim.
Level with me. Right now. Right?
Like, come on. It's Kim.
Come on.
It's Kim.
It's Kim.
It's Kim.
It is Kim.
On paper, it's Kim.
It's absolutely Kim. 100%. I do see some merit. All right? I do see some merit. Good at challenges, naturally likable, social guy. Sure. Got some merit. However, I think that threat management is easily overlooked, and as something that I have struggled with in many orgs that I've played, I suck at threat management. Guy. Yeah, get a little bit of me. Get a little bit of no. He's not the best ever, Jay. You're right. I think threat management, he is such a big threat, and everybody knows it. He's not getting close to the end of the game, and it sucks because he's awesome, and I love Caleb, but
I'm just happy he made it far enough to where now, I know this is really early to say, but if Survivor 48 was an all-star season of the new era, I could see Caleb, just throw Caleb back on. I don't think Caleb will change as a player or as a character. He's just going to, he's going to save the puppies from the burning building with Emily and Katora. So that's all Caleb needs.
He's just going to do the thing.
He's going to do the thing.
He's just going to do the thing, and I think that's totally fine. And
But
that's all I have to say about Caleb. So, moving on. How the mighty have fallen.
Remember episode 1?
Yeah.
Katora and Drew.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah, it was bad. Getting caught, looking for an idol, and then ragging on Bruce again.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened? Just colossal collapse. I am holding out the tiniest of hopes that she still has a shot of winning. Like, it's probably at 1% now.
Yeah.
But man,
to write her off.
I love Katura. It just sucks seeing her this low. Just has not had good episodes at all.
Yeah.
That's life. That's Survivor, though.
And I can't even fault her for looking for the idol. She had the golden opportunity.
I don't either. I think it's just the right move.
It's not what she's doing in the episodes that's so bad. It's just what's being shown and what's not being shown. Because Katora, we've seen her as a strong player in the very beginning. She was, being social. She was talking strategy. And then all of a sudden, her entire focus is just on Bruce. And so it's like, why? Why are we only seeing, her ragging on Bruce? And honestly, if she does win the battle against Bruce, I don't see Katora going further than Bruce's placement. It's kind of like it's kind of like Fishback trying to vote out Joe in Cambodia, or it's like he spends so much time and effort to vote out Joe. He finally does, I think, and then he gets sniped right after. Could be wrong. I forgot the exact specifics of Cambodia, but I can kind of see Katora as the same kind of player, the same archetype. And makes me sad.
Makes you wonder why they left the scene about her using Jake being a lawyer against him in the premiere. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the hell that went. I dropped theme, maybe. Maybe it'll pay off. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just like it's dead in the water.
I think what it could be is maybe it's showing her not antagonizing other people, but like trying to find, the fault of other people's games and trying to expose that and trying to, do whatever. Because that's what she did with Jake. She exposed Jake for being a lawyer, made him seem really, shady and sketchy. And then did the same thing with Bruce, how, Bruce wanted to be the Uncle Bruce, but Katura is, showing him being the exact opposite. I think that's kind of Katura's thing. It's just, again, I know there's a lot more to her game we are not seeing. I could be wrong. Katura could just be ragging on Bruce 24/7. And, she probably comes on to a podcast later on and it's like, hey, I just genuinely hated the guy. I did nothing else on the island for 26 days. I just hated on Bruce. Like, that could be it. But, like, let's be reasonable with each other. That's too much of a crackpot theory. So I kind of wrote Katura off. Not entirely, but like she's on the edge right now.
But it's giving Ellie versus Gabler. Yeah, kind of. But there's no Gabler in this. There's no.
Yeah.
Unless it's, even if there was a Gabler, it would have to be Bruce, because Katura is definitely the Ellie in this scenario, and Bruce isn't winning. So, like,
yeah,
I understand. I understand where you're coming from, though.
I still think Joe and Fishback, Cambodia. There are other examples, but like,
yeah, I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
And now,
what's it like being corrected by Will West? If you look back on the old positions, I've had her at number 1 since like episode 2, man. Now you're finally sipping the Kool-Aid.
Look, okay. Yeah, Kelly had another good episode. She did well. However, I'd like to say we're gonna go back
Please say.
to.
Please speak.
Go back to.
While you go back,
Go back
I've
a little bit. Wow, you think we'll make it over Kelly? In response to me saying Jake will do the best. Yes, I do. Especially now. Caleb goes, Kelly is definitely the best player on this tribe. No hesitation.
yeah.
In my opinion, Kelly's seen as a threat, and she's taking out early mid-merge. Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
But it's less that Caleb tried targeting Kelly. It was more that he wanted to work with Kelly so he can have more options.
Yes, but now that's on our radar.
Now it's on our radar.
Yeah.
But I think Kelly could play a good shield game, right? Where she's always surrounded by bigger threats, surrounded by Bruce, because I think Bruce is going to get a lot of the negative attention from someone like Katora, right? I feel like I don't see a world where, Caleb is not being targeted over Kelly unless something like catastrophic happens. I know there's a lot of people who say Kelly isn't the best narrator, isn't the best storyteller in her confessionals, and so there's not a lot of that. And I love to cope. I love to give crackpot theories. I think Kelly's biggest crime is that she's just not that entertaining in the confessionals, so it makes it a lot harder for her to pop off on screen. I think that there's a small moment where she was relating her job to helping out Jake, which I think is, underappreciated. I think that's kind of a small glimpse of that average winner confessional of relating their occupation to how they win Survivor. And I feel like that makes it seem like her bonds are genuine, which could help with the jury votes. I'm rocking big on the Kelly train. Little birdie, my ear told me Kelly is winning Survivor 45. So, also, do you want to respond to Jay with the amulet? I don't think so.
The
Jay,
amulet.
Can I be real with y'all? I don't see the amulet having any impact on the season. It didn't have an impact on 42. I don't like. I do like a twist that is just insignificant. I'd rather that than a game-breaking twist. I think back to the Medallion of Power in Nicaragua, where it's like it was such a boring twist, but also I'd rather have that than the bottle twist, So it's like, or the hourglass, the bottle too. So it's like, I don't think that will be her undoing. I think if she does get voted out, it's because she's too big of a threat, and I can concur with that. I can see that. I still think there's a lot of good with Kelly, and just writing her off as, she's too big of a threat. I think if you do that, then you can really find negatives with everyone else's game. So it's like you have to pick someone as a winner pick.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It usually just plays out where it doesn't even matter.
Yep.
And maybe we get to see an idle play or steal a vote. Maybe. It doesn't matter. It's a useless. But yeah, Kelly's doing good. Yeah, will, rah, rah, rah.
You have 3 players left in your league. I have a 1. All right.
Relax.
I picked 2 quitters.
Relax.
All right. I'm still rocking the Lulu buff.
Relax. Kendra is tough. She had a good episode. It's hard to say.
Mixed.
Mixed. She's just very over the top. I would say she had crazy eyes a lot of the episode. She had very, very open eyes this episode. I think that she will do well because her positive energy is appreciated.
Yeah.
I don't think she wins. And I think I'm going to rule her out now. I think now I'm going to rule her out of winning. I don't know. I don't see it. Honestly, I don't think I see it.
I can see her as a losing finalist, honestly.
Okay.
I think she can be another Carolyn, another.
You a losing finalist.
If I say half the cast is a losing finalist, I can't be wrong.
What?
Like, I gotta. If I'm betting on every color and every number in roulette, I gotta win something.
Oh my!
Right?
Yeah, stack the odds, right?
Bro, it's like I get a 20 in blackjack and I'm still hitting just to get the 21, you know? No, and I'm not saying that as a definite. I think with Bruce and Julie, I'm like ranking them pretty high as they are definitely, in my opinion, I could see them as losing finalists.
Okay.
With Kendra, it's more of a I can potentially see this as far as she would go. I don't think she is a losing finalist, but I do think her positive energy will take her far. I just think that the game will backstab her. And I think she's too vulnerable. And we kind of saw that with Brando getting voted out. But I think she had a mixed episode. It wasn't that bad for her. I think how she approaches the tribe conversations after tribal and how she talks to Emily will be the big indicator on the rest of her game. Honestly.
Right. I agree. And there's nothing more to say. And we will get to the last one, which will be brief because there wasn't a lot.
He's at 14. That's good.
Yeah. These are 13
improvements.
Because there are only 13 players left in the game. Sifu, I think, is going home soon. I don't see a point in him winning. I think the fake idol stuff is cute. You know, he got to do a little bit more of his Tonyism stuff, which is, you know, cool. I don't. I've never seen him winning since episode 1. He still won't. We'll see if he'll be earn the merge. Maybe.
I could see him or Jay.
Him or Jay. I do think Sifu is the most likely to go immediately come these first 2 episodes of merge, though. I think so.
I could see him winning a challenge, and so he's safe until Jay goes. I could see that.
Sure.
I just think he's playing Survivor, but he's not playing the people.
Yeah,
that's
exactly right. You have to play the people on Survivor. As much as everyone wants to go play Survivor, you have to play the people.
Even though you agree with me, still, my words sound worse coming out of your mouth, Jack. Sometimes.
What?
I don't know why. You just sound like, yeah. Well, I agree totally. Like what? Get out of here. Here's the stocks.
Get out of here.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Here we go. Caleb and Jake have the best episodes at Bye Bye. Jake had great episode, great positivity. Caleb had a pretty good episode, but I just think it's safe to lock him in a mid-merge position now. So I would buy that stock. You have D, Austin, and that's it at buys. D had a great episode. Austin had his best episode. Austin, still the same position. He's just going to do well this game. D had a great episode that lodges her into my top 2 and highlights that top 2.
Yep.
The stays are the big ones. You have Kelly, Julie, Emily, Kendra, Drew, and Bruce at stays. Kelly's at stay. She's still number 1. Julie's at 3. She is doing just fine, and I think she's doing well. Emily's at 5, still thinking Dragon edit for her. Kendra had a good episode. I'm not sure how that translates. I think, Will, you're right. I think we have to see that post-tribal reaction. Mm-hmm. Drew, downfall. It's coming. Get ready. Bruce stinks. At negative, minus, we have Katura. Yeah, how the mighty have fallen. We're so sorry. I'm still having a 1% chance, hope that Katura's going to win, but it's loose. And then at why do you have them is Jay and Sifu. Unfortunately, Jay and Sifu, they're going to lose.
Also, thank you, Jay, for enjoying the StockWatch.
Thank you.
Also, yes, the question, Jack. If you want to do your little clicker thing and we can talk about his question.
What about him and Jay are on the same team who won the challenge? Well, then the world's gonna burn. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I think Bruce, Drew, Katora, or maybe Kendra. I think one of those 4.
Sure. Whatever. But in my opinion, one of those, I think Jay or Sifu. Yeah. If they end up on the same team and they win, God forbid, maybe there's a remove a player. I'm that confident, guys.
He's
looking bad.
It's looking bad.
We're at the Edgic. I was telling you about Bruce over the top -2. You never want to get that if you're looked at a winner of a season. You never want to get that. Because with over the top -4, you can still have content. Like Tony had over the top -4 and Winners at War, and he still won the season. Best on paper was D with CPP3. Kelly had a great episode with positive tone. And yeah, anything you see, Will?
Nothing too notable. I mean, over the top positive too. I've always appreciated the over the top positive OCTP. I think that's like, not my favorite Edgic, but it's like my favorite kind of edit where it's like,
brief personal content.
CPN4, it's the Edgic. There's nothing too crazy that has happened outside of Bruce. Poor Drew. I feel like he's due for a CPN or maybe a OTTN soon.
I'm hoping for that.
I'm hoping for a glorious downfall. I want a salty exit.
I want a glorious Carl 37 type of downfall.
I want him to burn the tribe down. I want his ally to kick over a bucket of fish and blame someone else. I want the whole fireworks show for Drew. God, please. Anywho,
that is gonna do it for us today.
Yeah.
Will,
Jack,
this has been the stocks.
This has been all 13 of the stocks.
Do you have anything else to say?
Was my joke too funny for you, Jack? Couldn't even say it properly.
It was exasperated.
God. That's what happens when you're working with Will West, comedian. Now, I have nothing else to say, Mr. Jack. Been a pleasure, and thank you, Jay, for keeping the chat alive.
The loyal Jay, thank you for all your comments. Stimulating discussion, we love it.
Stimulating my dopamine.
Stimulating his Kelly support. All right, well, that is going to do it for us. We will see you next Friday for what is sure to be the most important episode of the season. Goodbye, everybody.